Okay. It's late. It's getting late in the day. Got that little shelving unit together, got the drawer together, did a bunch of sanding. Now I've got these floating shelves here, right? These are the shelves that are the live edge floating shelves. Fake the live edge, right? It's going to hang on the wall. You're wondering, how am I going to do that? They sell hardware for that, but I don't like it. So Dave made me 3 of these. It's 1/4 inch thick steel by 1 inch. That's going to get bolted to the wall. I'm going to make sure I hit studs. I'm going to use probably like a 3/8 or a 5/16 lag bolt with a big fat washer. I'll drill through this and I'm going to put that right on the wall. It's going to be very strong. That's not the one I'm using. We got 3 of them here for the different shelves. This is one of the shelves, right? It's the biggest one. And what I did was, when I cut these out, was I saved the part I cut them out of, right, so that I could put it back in there and have a nice flat area, so I can put it in my hollow chisel mortiser and plunge in, yeah, to make those deep cuts for the parts that stick out. And you're going, hey man, there's not enough room here, and you're right. But this machine, this General, I think it's a 1 horsepower. What's it say here? It's a 1 horsepower. This will take up to a 1 inch square hollow chisel mortise bit. Hollow chisel mortise bit is a bit that it's like a drill press, but it makes square holes. So there's a drill bit in the middle. The chips come out of here when you plunge it, right? So you have to hone this, make sure it's very sharp before you use it every time. I currently have a 3/8 inch hollow chisel mortise bit in there. I have a 1/4 inch, which you would think would be appropriate to use with this because it's 1/4 inch by 1 inch. But I'm going to keep the 3/8 inch bit in there so I've got a little bit of wiggle room. How am I going to make this taller? Well, in the foreground there's some foreshadowing. I've got these riser blocks. It's been a while since I've used them. I made these for years ago when I was making doors. If I had like a rail or a stile that was like 10 inches high, I needed to be able to lift that. And I've got these super long bolts here. I know this works because I've done it. And those bolts will replace these 4 bolts around here. So I'm going to unbolt this. I'm going to take this unit off. Then I've got to put these 2 in place and fish the bolts through all by myself, manhandling this thing and getting those things started all without dropping this thing and tightening all those things down so that I can do the next step, which is plunging into the back of this. The other thing I have to do on the back of the shelf is I've got to create a slot here. I'll probably do the slot first. I'm going to go ahead and put the blocks in now. I might not even get to this today as far as plunging, but I'm going to set it all up. And I'm going to get over here on the table saw, and I'm going to run this down the table saw, move 1/8 of an inch, run it, 1/8 of an inch, run it, 1/8 of an inch, run it. I'm going to create a slot back in here, and I'll clean it out nice so that this bracket will fit in here. This is not the bracket I'm going to use. Will fit in, and it'll be flush like that. It won't stick out like that. It'll be flush like that, right? Because that, remember now, that's mounted to the wall. So when that's mounted to the wall and the mortises are cut in this thing and I slide that shelf on it, now the next step will be there's going to be 2 bolts sticking out here. So I'll force that in hard enough to make 2 little marks inside the slot, and then I'm going to take a paddle bit, like a 1 inch paddle bit, and I'm going to drill in there with the paddle bit just the right depth for the head of the bolt, which will be approximately something like this, with a 1 inch washer around it. And then when I pop that on there, this will sit flush to the wall, and it'll be a floating shelf. You understand? So there's a lot of engineering and thinking and pre-thought that has to go into all of this before you get to these, you know, it's a thing, man. So I'm going to do this right now. What I'll do is I'll shoot another few seconds of that after I get the blocks in, showing you that I did that. And then maybe I'll show you the slots. I don't know if this will be a video showing the completion of it, but I just want to explain what I have to go through. And I have to tell you, this hollow chisel mortise machine, I bought this a very long time ago, probably, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 years ago. It could easily be 20 years ago. Yeah, I had this in the 2000s for sure. I've probably had this machine 20 years. Bought at Eagle Tools in Glendale. I think they might have been over in Altadena when I bought this machine. So, great machine. And again, it makes square holes. So I could do slot mortises and everything else. Comes in very handy when I'm doing mortise and tenon joints. Because in the old days, you just did that with a regular drill bit and cleaned it out with chisels. And it took a crap ton of time. Once you set this machine up properly, you've seen me use it before. I just keep plunging, moving, plunging, moving. You know, this locks it up. This moves it side to side. This wheel here adjusts it this way. But once you have that centered where you want it, you lock that down so you don't move it anymore. So let me get on with this. I just thought you guys would think it's interesting, the system I'm doing for this. Keep in mind, too, what you'll see here is... let's move this out of the way. Let's pick this up. Am I still on camera? Let's adjust you so we're more centered here, maybe. This is the top. This is the bottom. All right. I'm not cutting these apart yet because I don't need to. So when this is on here, you can see clearly it's a little longer than it needed to be. I probably could have made this a little bit shorter. This is the longest one for the longest shelf. And you can see that this sticks out past here. So, there. I'm going to have to cut that back. I'll probably cut that 3/4 of an inch or so back from this bottom edge here. Same thing here. I'll have to cut that back. I'll just do that with a cutoff wheel with my grinder. This bit is only going to plunge about 2 3/4 of an inch. So we'll get that in there. And then what I'll do is I'll take a 3/8 inch drill bit on a drill. And I will do my math. And I'll put some tape on the bit. And then I'll cut that out with the drill bit, with the drill, making sure not to go and poke through here, because that would be a disaster. Even if I did that, I could put a plug in there. You'd never see it. If you did see it, you go, oh, a little Dutchman patch on there. That's cool. Hopefully I'll avoid that mistake. You never know. I mean, I make little mistakes in the shop every day. So, that's what's going to happen. You don't need to support this the whole way because this board is, I mean, you see how thick this is, right? It's like 1 3/4 inches thick. So supporting it here and here, you're perfectly fine. It's not going to tip and it's not going to sag because that board is so thick. So as long as I hit studs with a long enough bolt, we'll be golden. Also, I made 3 of these, but the cabinet back here is, that's 36 inches tall, that cabinet back there, and that's going to hang on the wall. And it's going to be, it's hard to say exactly where it's going to hang, but where it hangs, there's an outlet on the wall that's going to end up inside here. You notice there's no back on this. So the outlet will be in this area. I can't go too high because of that. But that 36 inch height is probably going to be at around 42 inches or so. Well, from that height, it's only an 8-foot ceiling. There may only be enough room to comfortably place 2 of these floating shelves. I got 3 because I drew 3 in my plans. So if we have an extra shelf, that's fine. If the client decides, Greg, if you decide that you want me to hang that extra shelf somewhere else, that's what we'll do. It won't be a big deal. I will already have had the bracket made for it, and well, the bracket's already made, but I will, all 3 of these are going to get dialed. That's my next step, by the way, is to get these dialed, do all this sanding, which does take a lot of time to get that to look nice. I've got one here that I started before I made the other 2, and you can kind of see it here. A lot smoother, smoother. See how nice that looks? The light's hitting that for you. I changed the end here. I had it squared off, but I went ahead and rounded it, so I got to finish that. But it takes a lot of time to get that to look good. That's not even done yet. So it's going to take the better part of a day to get all three of these just sanded out. It's going to be brutal handwork to get that right. And then I'm done, right? Then I'm done with all my sand. I have all the panel doors and everything. I need to go over them one time with a sanding block by hand. I just need to vacuum the dust off, tack the parts off, and then I'm applying finish. So this week, that will happen. It's already Tuesday, so by the end of this week, everything will be sanded out, and I will already have started putting finish on the parts. So anyhow, just another job update for you, but I just thought you'd find it interesting, those of you who are paying attention, the way I'm doing things. You know, this is, I've never done this before exactly like this. I've faked live edges before, but I've never done this steel bracket system. I've never done this. I've never kept these two parts together so I could put them in here so it'll hold vertical, so I can plunge it in. But obviously I have put the blocks in that machine before, right? Because I have them. You guys see that. There's probably some old picture folders on the Mike Z Design Facebook page where you'll see me doing that. They would have been old jobs. You'd have to go through those files quite a ways. I think when I did the cherry chair and ottoman, I might have done that. There's a couple doors I built in there back in the day where I've done that. So let me get to it. I'll stop blathering for you. Alright, so I got the blocks in there, which makes it a lot taller. And while I was in the middle of it, the smaller socket took out the existing bolts. But then when I went to put the longer ones in, they were a different size socket. Fortunately, I keep them right there. So I was able to like kind of hold on to that, keep it from falling over while I reached down and got the appropriate size socket. So, you know, if you got to do this, maybe check that first. So I think a lot of people probably haven't seen this very much. Somebody extending the height of their hollow chisel mortiser in this fashion. I'm going to show you this because I know you guys are going to be curious. I should do this one of the smaller shelves. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Stay. Okay. Let's do it with this one. Yeah. That'll work. Because a lot of you are saying, wait a second, you lifted that up. How are you going to align this bit, right? This bit has to be square to the fence. So what we're going to do here is we're going to clamp this into place. Now you see why I kept this. There we go. Here we grow. Excellent. Excellente. All right. Now we have to loosen the table so we can move back and forth this way. Which is right here. And now, oh yeah, looky there. Looky there. Now, there's the big old arm on this sucker. All right, we'll be able to plunge this down. And we have this, which lives over here. And let's make sure we can clear this. All right, now we're going to take this. There we go. Now, you see it stopped there. That's because we have a depth stop here. So I can loosen this. All right. That's interesting. Listen, you know what? I guess that's just where we're going to have to be. So that's as deep as we'll be able to plunge, which is fine. I'll hit this every time, and that's okay. Like I said, to make the holes deeper, I will use a 3/8 drill bit and drill through these to the appropriate depth. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to loosen this right here. Now I can spin the square chisel part. The drill bit is in a chuck inside here. It's accessed through a door. You can see right here. And I didn't realize there was a door on both sides. But inside here is the chuck. That's how you tighten the drill bit in place. This part is adjustable. So now what I can do, see how I'm twisting this? Hope you guys can see that on camera. Now I'm going to pull this back to the bit. Now so there you go. So now the bit is perfectly squared up to the workpiece. And it looks like, the trick on this, and it's probably a little bit different for everybody, is you have to have the right amount, we should be in pretty good shape here, of gap between the bit and the inside of the square part of the chisel. You don't want it snug here, you want a little bit of room, and it should have been set up already because I've been using it. So those chips get pulled up and out of the way without the spinning drill bit also rubbing up against the actual inside of the square chisel. Tighten that just a hair. I don't want to over tighten it. I don't want to strain this. I just want to make sure that this square chisel is now square to the workpiece, clamped in place. And now I can tighten this. Now we know that that's aligned well. Now one thing I can see here, yeah, I'll have to play with this a little bit because it feels to me, it looks to me like this piece of wood here is leaning back a little bit, so we're not perfectly 90 degrees in this manner to the chisel bit. So I'll have to shim the back side of this where it meets this fence and eyeball that, and I'll have to do that each time I clamp this piece in here to make sure I get that perfect. So, but this is just part of what you go through. You know, a big part of what you go through when you're making furniture and you're building stuff in your shop is tool setup. That's what takes the most amount of time, usually. It's just the time it takes to set up your machines to do an operation. So that's why you want to think things out as best you can. And when you do a tool setup, do everything you need to do. It's like when I mill wood. It took me, what, 3 weeks or more, almost a month, just to mill lumber for this project. So every time you set one setup up, you want to do all the wood you have to do that setup for, get it done, move on to the next setup. It's just more efficient that way. But you can just see how much time it takes to do this. And it wasn't easy. I could probably, let's give that a little more room. Let me see if this works. Let's see if I can loosen this and then lift it a hair and tighten it back up. Yeah, that's what I thought. Worked out. What that means is, and it makes sense, this is a wedge right there on the bottom edge there, and it fit into the other piece, and so it was shifting. Now that I lifted it so that this piece isn't actually touching this piece inside there, now both of these faces are in parallel to one another. And it looks to me like way straighter anyhow, it looks like. And it's still a hair out of whack, but it's okay. Like I said, I'll make this work. It'll be fine in the end, but this is what I go through. So it'll take some time to figure that out, even before I start plunge cutting. That's just part of the process. That's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's just kind of a neat thing showing you that you can, not all hollow chisel mortisers can do this. At least I don't think they can. And if you're going to do it, you know, you just have to be aware of all these things. Guys that have these machines and do this all the time, they're all looking at this video going, "Darn, I know that already." Not for you. It's for the people that don't know, that don't even know what this machine is. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll catch you in the next video. And we're getting close. We're getting close to having this done. Be good to one another.